Now that felt much more like it. That felt like the Raw after WrestleMania. Surprises, announcements, debuts, farewells, and a 45-minute segment between The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, and Cody Rhodes. It's all coming up in this week's Raw review, the post-Mania Raw for 8/24. Let's get amplified. This show starts off Paul Levesque McMahon. He starts this show. He welcomes Cody Rhodes. A Cody video package plays. The crowd does a bunch of "you deserve it," like a couple 2-3, bare minimum. Cody and H hug it out for approximately 86 minutes. Slight exaggeration. Really nice video. Awesome tribute to Cody Rhodes. You would have thought the dude was retiring. That's how well done it was. Cody then lays the title down and he kisses it on his knees and he kisses that championship. He then gets on the microphone. The crowd is chanting "Thank you, Roman" at that point. He does mention Roman and the crowd doesn't hesitate to show their appreciation. Whether you loved or hated his reign, it was a polarizing title reign by Roman Reigns. So it was cool to see the thousands in attendance show that appreciation. A big "Thank you, Roman" chant broke out. He then says, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Cody Rhodes. Once undesirable, then undeniable, and now undisputed." Thought that was really good. Print that up on a shirt and sell hundreds of thousands of it. That was really well done. Once undesirable, then undeniable, now undisputed. He then says, well, no, he doesn't say at that point, "If you smell," echoes over the loudspeaker. It's The Rock. He is there. The Rock comes to the ring. And we have a stare down between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. Now, you know that Rock is going away to film some movies. You know this. But damn, it's been so good now between Cody and Rock as of late that you're thinking, can you just pencil in SummerSlam? Just a little bit. Just move this, move that over there, this will go over here. And before you know it, boom, you got a SummerSlam opening spot, all right? You don't even got to, listen, show up a couple, 2-3 times. But we got to see Cody and Rock now, you would think, but no, this was the Rock riding off into the sunset speech. But before we even got to that, the crowd took over an Undertaker chant to The Rock, which I thought was that was so good. Of course, WrestleMania Night 2, in case you missed it, Undertaker shows up. Rock's already in the ring. Big choke slam to The Rock. And that pretty much put The Rock out of the equation for the rest of the match until Roman lost moments later. So a big Undertaker chant. Then a "shut the fuck up" chant from the crowd. Then Rocky sucks, in which The Rock replies, he's a lot of things, but sucks ain't one of them. So then the crowd chants, "asshole." So The Rock pretty much got all the chants from this crowd within this 45-minute segment. And again, he wasn't out for all 45. He was the last 20 to 30 bare minimum. But this went 3 segments, guys. Commercial free, by the way. A bunch of those commercials were in the last hour. The main event had like 4 of them. That was all within like a 20-minute time span. Anyway, The Rock's getting all these chants. He can't really echo a word, can't spit out a word. It's almost like Dominic Mysterio is out there. But The Rock finally does utter out a sentence. The Rock says that he came there to tell the crowd that they broke another record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash. I just had to pop for that. Because you genuinely thought he was going to shill a little bit, right, for the company. Even though he's a heel, we've seen him do this already a couple, 2-3 times. So we thought he was just going to do that again, ramble off some numbers, right, as a face would do. I just came here to tell you, you all have set a record for the largest gathering of trailer park trash. And this Rock character, he doesn't deal with that. So I just thought that was awesome. That really popped the crowd, man. That was the loudest they had been at that. But even with all the chants, that brought him to life. Pretty cool. I mean, heel Rock can literally ignite a crowd. That's the best part. But that was really good. Rock says, or at least he asks Cody if he can hold his title. He says The Rock loves his People's Championship from Muhammad Ali's widow. But as much as I love my championship, I want to hold your championship. So Cody says, you can hold mine if I can hold yours. Sounds like the start of a really bad college joke, but they end up switching their championships. Rock throws it over his shoulder, and he looks at Cody and he says, I gotta say, Cody, this just feels right. This feels good. In other words, like he wants that championship down the line. It was at that point The Rock confirmed what we already knew. He's going to ride off into the sunset. He's got movies and other commitments he has to attend to, much wider than the pro wrestling spectrum, so it's totally understandable. That's immediately met with the goodbye song from the crowd in attendance, the na 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 hey hey hey. So they're singing that song. That even pops The Rock. He's got a grin on his face. As much as they're acting like they couldn't care less that The Rock is leaving, the truth is he did bring a pulse back to this company when it did need it. They've been selling out ever since The Rock came back. He is still among the highest rated segment whenever he is on the shows. And if at nothing else, he at least made WrestleMania interesting at a time where the build for Mania didn't even feel like it was Mania season. So The Rock does deserve a lot of that credit, I do have to say. But the crowd is like, all right, we don't care. We already knew you were checking out, man. So The Rock does confirm this, but he says when he comes back, he wants that title. So he just wants Cody Rhodes to know that yes, he's there to give him his flowers. You beat Roman Reigns the night before, but don't forget 24 hours earlier, he pinned Cody. He reminded Cody of that. So he says next time it'll be for the title that he just got to hold. So I thought that was pretty well done. Cody says, Rock, I'm looking forward to it. I don't think Cody has any issue at all having a wrestling match with The Rock, man. And again, that's what sucks. You're really hoping they could do this somehow for SummerSlam, but the amount of time The Rock already gave WrestleMania and how many commitments he put to the side. You know how many movies he could have... Okay, one at a time you want to film, but he could have had all these projects lined up. And in case you guys don't know how it works, when you're filming a movie, you can do obviously so many other things. You can do some voiceover work over here. You could do a commercial over here, promo work over here. So you could do so many things with the 3 or 4 months that The Rock carved out for this. So, I mean, to ask him to do another 3 to 4 months, that's asking a lot. I get it. But damn, you can't just leave Cody and Rock unfinished like that. And The Rock didn't. You know, he planted those seeds, but you never know. I mean, all these awesome projects could pile up. And before you know it, it's another 12 years before The Rock actually comes back to have a legit match. Because that's what it was. The Eric Rowan thing that they had a few years back in Mania, that doesn't really count. So you'd have to go 12 years back to... what was that? Cena Rock, right? So it's, who knows if we see Rock and Cody, but it's definitely, it's there for the taking because The Rock set it up beautifully. Now, this was great back and forth. As I said, Rock said he's coming back for the title. Cody says he's looking forward to it. But Cody ends it really good. Cody says, you may be my boss. Like he says legit, like you're on the board of TKO. You're literally my boss. But I'm your champion. So he's like, because he knows that means everything to The Rock, right? He's even carrying around a championship that says the People's Championship. So he's like, you're my boss, cool, but I'm the one thing you crave the most. I'm your champion. I thought that was great. A great finish by Cody in this lengthy promo. And The Rock had a really great finish himself. The Rock hands Cody something. He says, I want to give you one last thing. Goes in his pocket, hands Cody this. Says, you don't even got to open it up right now, live. You ain't even got to open your hand to know what it is. And he says, Cody, don't ever break my heart again if you smell what The Rock is cooking. And it was a low-pitched, if you smell what The Rock is cooking. So Cody, don't ever break my heart again if you smell what The Rock is cooking and he looked kind of emotional. It has to do something. It has to do something with Cody's promise to The Rock to take his WrestleMania spot. And then, of course, all of a sudden, Cody changes his mind, takes his WrestleMania main event title match back. And The Rock was this close from main eventing Mania. The Rock was this close from being the guy who got all the praise, the celebration, the party, and the championship. And Cody, even though he promised it, he took it back. You gotta believe whatever he handed him has to do with that. Because what else would break Rock's heart with Cody Rhodes when he just said that championship means so much? So I just thought it was well done. When it was all said and done, it was 45 minutes commercial-free totally. Now, a lot of those commercials went on the back end of the show. That main event really got dinged up with them. Thankfully, they were a lot of picture-in-picture. But commercial-free 45 minutes, man, it's Rock, Cody face-to-face for a lot of that 45 minutes. Very well done. And then you went in. It didn't stop there, right? You couldn't really sit down because Shinsuke Nakamura's in the ring, and his opponent is the main roster debut of Dragunov. Your NXT champion, bro. Just debuted on Monday Night Raw, and they announced that the draft is coming up. So the draft is officially announced. BC already broke that to you last week, that it's coming back within the month. Triple H broke it to you. He said it's coming back. I just happened to have been doing an upload not long after, so I told you guys that last week, and they officially announced it on last night's show. But the wild part is that they said anyway. Michael Cole was waiting. He was dragging out the announcement, almost like he wasn't sure, like he was trying to get word backstage from Triple H and Gorilla. And finally, he says Dragunov will be a part of the draft. So that's the NXT champion. I don't know how, and that wasn't the only big champion from NXT to debut last night. So we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But Dragunov, Shinsuke Nakamura is your first match of the night. Dragunov hits his powerbomb, H-bomb, torpedo, mass cow combo sequence to finish off Shinsuke for the W. Not sure what it says about Nakamura going forward. Do feel bad for that dude and the types of losses that he's taken, not even being a part of WrestleMania, and then the Raw after Mania taking the L. Not sure what it says about Nakamura going forward, but I do know what it says about Dragunov. Big plans for him, as my right-hand man on the channel, JR9 Gaming, has been alluding to. Maybe Gunther Dragunov in the future. I know they're going, Germany soon, so maybe they'll set something like that up. Of course, Dragunov no longer the IC title holder, but I don't think that would have needed to be on the line anyway. The best case scenario was Gunther dropping that championship to a top face at WrestleMania. That way, Gunther going forward can go to the main event scene and start taking on people like the Rollinses when he comes back, Punk when he's ready to go, LA Knight, depending on which brand who shows up on whose show. You know what I mean? All these top faces, Gunther has not even touched yet. So it was time for him to drop that IC title. And Dragunov is an NXT champion anyway, so they're going to have to find a way to get that title off of him to really cement him on the main roster. I don't know. It's a little bit of a cluster F now, but it was really cool to see Dragunov. And this dude, I said this, the NXT product for BC can be a little haywire, but one of the brightest spots on that show is easily Dragunov. And more than anything, by the way, it's just that one debut right there, seeing Dragunov, that's when you were reminded, yes, it's the Raw after Mania. Like, anything can happen. It is fun, and that was the moment where it truly felt like the Raw after Mania. Then we go into this was hour 2, I believe, Judgment Day segment with Awesome Truth. It leads into a 6-man tag, Balor, Mysterio, and McDonuts versus R-Truth, Miz, and the man you can't see, John Cena. What would end up being John Cena anyway, for the first part of the match, for the setup of the match and the first part of the match. It could have been Little Jimmy for all we know. But it ends up being John Cena. You get the 5-5 knuckle shuffle and subsequent triple attitude adjustment. Gives Cena, Miz, and Truth the W. Cena pins McDonuts, I believe, was the actual pinfall. So really cool. John Cena surprised everyone. The moments after The Rock is out there with Cody Rhodes. The debut of Dragunov to the main roster. I mean, they were stacking it. Then you go backstage, Liv Morgan attacks Rhea Ripley, man. So that's the match a lot of people wanted to see for Mania, right? Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, or at least have Morgan added to the Becky-Rhea match, which was talked about for some time. They just decided not to do it. So they picked up immediately the next night after Raw, Liv Morgan. I don't know if it's so much wanting the championship as a little bit of retribution over Rhea Ripley. Roxanne Perez, Roxy is how BC knows her as. Roxy, the NXT Women's Champion, then makes her main roster debut, defeating Indi Hartwell via Pop Rocks. Nothing more needed to be added to my notes. I pretty much sat back and enjoyed the few minutes she was out there. I can't say they work the best together, but man, everybody was just in awe. That Roxy, it looks like... I didn't hear the official announcement if she's going to be in this draft, but I gotta figure if Dragunov is going to be, and he debuted, I gotta figure that Roxy will be in that draft picture. And on top of that, we were hearing reports before Mania that Roxy was getting the call-up. So it was odd that she won the championship earlier that afternoon of day one at NXT Stand and Deliver, when a day earlier, we were hearing that she was getting the call-up, and then she wins the NXT championship. So they took these two top stars in NXT, gave them titles, and then said, you're being called up. It's a little wild there. But man, seeing Roxy just minutes after the debut of Dragunov, I'm like, let's go, man. And by the way, Roxy being able to have that moment in front of a crowd like that right after WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, you can't be a part of Mania, but that's your debut? I mean, if you're Dragunov and Roxy, ecstatic to Cloud 9. Sami Zayn is out next. You deserve it chance, just like Cody Rhodes. Zayn delivers his IC title victory speech, basically. Imperium interrupts. Chad Gable hits the ring to even up the odds as we go to break. And hour number 2 concludes. When we come back from break, it's the start of hour 3. Samilton and Chadathan versus Vinci and Kaiser. Zayn and Gable collect the W. Zayn delivers Haluva kick to Vinci, and then Gable hits his Gableplex for the ultimate W. Zayn and Gable are then set for next week. Backstage, Sammy says, we're good now, right? I let you get that W, so we're all even. You helped me get the championship at Mania by training me, and I just gave you that W. And Chad's like, no, what are you talking about, man? And Sammy's like, I'm just kidding. I know what you want. He holds up the title. He says, next week, in my hometown. What is it? Where are they going next week? Montreal, Quebec, something like that. So they're going to do that match next week. I doubt very much. Obviously, Sammy is losing that, but the crowd is heavily behind Gable. So maybe that's why they got to do it there. Maybe there'll be a lot less behind Gable. It's Sammy's hometown. They're going to be rocking for Sam. Maybe they have to do it there because you can't really do it in the States unless they're going to set up a second match maybe at the next PLE, which is 3 weeks from Saturday. So we'll see. A lot of questions will be answered next Monday, but that's going to be a big time match, man. Gable, Sami Zayn, IC Championship. The WWE Draft, as we aforementioned, was announced again. They want to remind you the draft is coming up. Now, I'm cool with it as long as we respect and honor the brand splits. Otherwise, this draft is pointless because they always do these drafts and then they just put people on whichever show they see fit without explanation. So, but I think it's good to shake it all up. I think their changes obviously have to be made because Cody Rhodes is now on SmackDown as their champion. That is a huge void to fill when CM Punk is already out for the next several months with an injury. LA Knight and other top faces are still Randy Orton all on SmackDown. So Raw is going to have, I can't believe I'm saying this because there's so many baby faces in WWE, but Raw will have that babyface problem. Jade Cargill. Oh, by the way, Sheamus, the announcement that he is returning, that's big, right? There was the injury that kept having setbacks. That obviously started the rumors that his contract is expiring, which was never true. That was Drew McIntyre. That was Becky Lynch. and a few others. Sheamus just had an injury that just nagging setbacks. So they held off. Raw after Mania is when they showed this Sheamus video package. So that's pretty cool. Be cool to see where they fit him, right? I mean, this roster is stacked, packed, and jacked. And now Sheamus is coming back. Speaking of jacked, packed, and stacked, Jade Cargill is out next. She defeats Chelsea Green. A bicycle kick and a glam slam. And that'll just about do it. That's what people always, that a lot of people don't like that's all that Jade does, but that's all Jade needs. I mean, it's Goldberg, old school WCW, right? I mean, spear, jackhammer, whichever order, and crowd went home happy. With Jade, as far as now anyway, the audience is just in awe of her presence. The fact she drops a couple two-tree moves is the cherry on top. It's like The Undertaker at his age. It doesn't matter if he can go out there and have a 20-minute match or do all these moves. The Undertaker can do a 12-minute entrance at Mania. Go in there, do a choke slam and a tombstone or a power bomb. Call it a match, and the crowd will be on their feet ecstatic. Some people just have that presence. Some people don't have to go in there and have 30-minute classics or try to get a bunch of imaginary stars. So Jade Cargill goes in there, does just 2 moves, and Chelsea Green's looking up at the lights. Main event, Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed versus Ricochet. This was a number 1 contenders fatal 4-way for the World Championship. Drew cut a great pre-match promo, first of all, on Priest, on CM Punk. A great pre-match promo. He was fired up. We're used to the jokester Drew McIntyre, which, by the way, he's really good at. But this was a fired up Drew, man, and he's just firing off. I was like, just let him rock that microphone for like the next half an hour. We don't even need the main event. Let's do it next week. Just let Drew end the show for the next 20 minutes rocking that microphone. But the Yeet Man, as Michael Cole called him, the Yeet Man, Jey Uso, ended up coming out. His music hits, cuts off Drew McIntyre. Jey Uso comes down, and then I believe Ricochet was the final entrant. So you kind of thought Levesque McMahon has had Ricochet win the last couple of weeks, and he was the final person out entrance-wise last night for the main event. I'm like, are they really giving Ricochet it? Let's see. They did not. They did go with Jey Uso. The finish saw Ricochet eliminate himself from the equation with like a 450 or something like that from inside the ring onto Bronson Reed that was on the commentary table. So it was gnarly, but you can't help but, you go back and watch. Ricochet injured himself probably more than Bronson. And I was like, oh, you gotta knew that was going to happen, no? So he eliminated himself and Bronson from the equation. This only leaves Drew and Jay in the ring. Drew is about to hit the Claymore on Jey Uso, but CM Punk comes out from underneath the ring, and he holds the foot of McIntyre. So he's holding McIntyre in place. McIntyre goes to lunge at Punk, what are you doing? And when he turns around, he's hit with a super kick from Jey Uso and a subsequent spear. Drew McIntyre's down and out, looking up at the lights. 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso wins the match. Jay versus Damian Priest for the next PLE, I'm guessing anyway. I don't know if that was actually announced 3 weeks from Saturday. What is that, Backlash? So I'm okay with that decision, obviously. This is going to be... It's like a filler main event, right? Priest is not losing that championship already. That would be wild. Somehow, they're going to have to get the title back to Drew, though, because CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre for that title is the match. So I guess they think Punk will just be gone long enough that they can have Priest be what McIntyre called him last night on the microphone. He called him a transitional champion. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but it does look like that's going to happen. Drew somehow has to get it back. So what do? Are you going to have that heel versus heel match, Drew versus Priest? It's a really sticky situation that WWE has kind of pigeonholed themselves. But Levesque McMahon, man, he's wiggled out before from these sitches. We'll see if he can do it again. And that was Monday Night Raw. If at the bare minimum, it felt like the Raw after Mania again, and there's a lot of newsworthy topics to come out of it, right? The Roxanne and Dragunov debuts, even the announcement of Sheamus coming back, or John Cena. That was a surprise. We thought that was a one and done. He moved a Honda commitment, he said, to even be able to be at WrestleMania, let alone on Raw. A pretty fun main event. I'm not a big fan of schmaz matches, but the Fatal 4-Way was pretty damn fun, even with all the commercial breaks. And CM Punk right at the end. You know, you almost forget because there is so many top stars now and baby faces, and you kind of forget about Punk, even though Drew just cut an awesome promo on him earlier, for him to end the night like that cherry on top. So, man, bare minimum, it felt like the Raw after Mania, and I'll even go as far as to say that was an enjoyable show, man. Like, captivated? I don't know, but that's a show where I wouldn't have minded if there was another half an hour still to go. I mean, you know, because there was so much happening, a lot of good stuff, a lot of questions that you actually want answered and you're not confused. That was actually, you know, I said the same thing for WrestleMania weekend. You know, can they keep that momentum for the Raw after Mania? The answer, yes. Now the question is, can they keep this going when Mania is in your rear view? Because usually Mania season brings that excitement and brings the best out of everybody. And then you start getting into those dog days of summer and everybody kind of goes back into that, oh, this is just a job thing again. This is just work. Or, you know, hopefully that company just stays rocking with this momentum. And because what a weekend. Honestly, WrestleMania does it again. It reminds most of us anyway exactly why we fell in love with professional wrestling, and we hope that that continues. Until next time, and there will be that next time. BC, saying check you. Peace.